This time we're going to do a lock-on system that allows you to lock onto an enemy and move the lock-on to between spine and head, and then you can change what you're locked onto. So you can move between opponents and disengage the lock. But also if you wanted to lock onto an object as well, it works too. And this works in both GASP, as you've just seen, and in normal projects 5.4 or 5.5 as well, with the difference being the crosshairs. Super simple system to use. It's made up of a component, a widget, and a interface, and we make up some test enemies and some test actors to play with as well. So let me know what you want to see next, and we'll see what we can do. Have a great day. Thank you for watching. So we're in our blank project, and the first thing that we need to do is right click and create a new folder. We'll call this lock on system or target lock, whatever you want. And then we're going to right click, create a new blueprint class called actor component. We'll call this BPC lock on. And the reason we do that is so that we can just take this whole folder, right click it, and migrate it to any project. So we only need one lock on system for like whatever project that we do for our entire life of being a game dev really. So we're going to open up our lock on component and dock it, and then we're going to delete event begin play, and we're going to leave the tick because we're going to use it, and we're going to turn it off and on. So the first thing that we need to do is turn tick off by default. So we're going to go to class defaults and turn the tick off by default. Then it's not running at all. And then we're going to right click and get keyboard event 1. And we're going to create a new variable to say if we are locked on to something. And we're going to grab that out and get it and get a branch. And if we're already locked on to something, then we're going to do an event called disengage lock. And if we're not, we're going to lock onto the target. Let's get a custom event. So right click, get a custom event. I'm going to call that lock on to target. We're going to get owner. We're going to get the owner of this component. And from there, we're going to get actor location. And then from there, we can get actor rotation. And we can get forward vector. So this all depends on if you want it to be the way the character's facing, or if you want it to be the way that the camera's facing. So if you want it to be the way that the camera's facing, then we can do get component by class, and we can get the camera component. And then we can do get forward vector from there. This will be camera facing. And then we can do a multiply and get out to location from the top and do a plus. And then if we right click this to be a float, then this will tell us how far away we want this to extend. So I've done 1,000, and you can sort of interchange whichever one of these you want with the other one. And then we need a spear trace by channel, and we can do add to location to start, and then this is the way the character's facing, the 1,000 from the way that the character's facing into the end, and we'll make the radius 10, and we can test that. We can go to draw debug and go to for duration. We need to put it on our character first. So if we go to third person, blueprints, BP third person, then we can add the lock on system, BPC lock on, save all that, go into our world. And from 1, we need to make sure we're calling lock on to target. And now we can test it. There we go. So no matter which way we're facing, we'll get the shootout from our private area. And if we want to do camera, then we can do camera instead. Camera's a bit more refined, so it all depends on what you want to do. You can even do it for just the head as well. So if you want to just get where the head is, then we can do get component by class and do the skeletal mesh component. And then from there, we can get socket location, call that the head, and then we can put that into the start. And now when I do this, it's going from the head. And if we want it from the way that the head's facing, so then we can get socket rotation, and we want the head. You might want to make a new socket for where this is, because this points up. But if we do get right vector, then we can plug that in. And if you've set up like a head move, it will rotate alongside where your head is and where you're looking. But right now it just goes where your head is. So this is for head rotation. So there's a lot of options, but I'm just going to do it the way the character's facing, using this way. So whichever way the character faces, that's where it comes from. I do want it to come from the head, so it makes it a bit more realistic. Way the character's facing, using this way. So whichever way the character faces, that's where it comes from. I do want it to come from the head, so it makes it a bit more realistic. So what we'll do is we'll get the location and add it to there. And then this will be from body. And this is from head. So I know that's a lot, 5 different ways of getting to go where we're going, but it's good to have options. So now we want a return value, we want a branch. From the out hit, we're going to break the hit result. And from hit actor, we're going to check that it is valid. And then we need to create a new hit actor for a start. So we're going to right click, create a blueprint class, create a character. This will be BPC dummy. You can call yours BPC enemy. And then we need to add just a skeletal mesh of a mannequin. Get the mesh, move it down, and you should rotate it. It's good practice. 90 degrees. Then we come back to our content drawer. So control spacebar to come back to our content drawer. We're going to add a blueprint interface. So we get blueprint interface. Call this BPI locked on. And we'll open that up and we'll call this lock on. And then we're going to add an input here of a boolean. And this will be on. So an interface means that we can attach it to multiple things: enemies, boxes, cars, any sort of object that has this interface, and then we can do something. So we're going to go back to BPC dummy, go to class settings, scroll down to implemented interfaces, click add, and we're going to add the locked on interface. We'll double click on this interface that happens here, and then we're going to need to do something. So right now we're just going to put a print string here. I'm going to just say locked. And then we're going to go back to BPC locked on, get our hit actor here, and call locked on message, and select on. We're also going to promote this hit actor to a variable. And now we've got a reference to our hit actor. And then we're going to get our locked on variable here and set it to say that we are locked on and lock it on like that. And then finally, we're going to go from hit actor and we're going to get the on destroyed event and bind an event to it. And from event, we're going to create event. And we're going to create a matching event. This will be on target lock destroyed. Target locked actor destroyed. And then this is going to print something for the time being. Let's say actor gone. So what this will do is it will send a message to say actually the actor's been destroyed that we're looking at. And then in that event, we'll deal with that separately. So now we can test this. Go to BPC dummy. And when we press 1 and hit him, nothing happens because we are checking for the visibility channel, and I bet we don't block it. Yeah, so we ignore the visibility channel. So what we should do is we'll go to project settings, we'll go to collision, and we're going to set up a new trace channel, and we're going to call this lockable. And by default, we're going to ignore it, so not everything has it. And then inside character mesh, our lockable channel will be blocked. And inside block all dynamic, we'll also block our lockable channel. And pawn as well. Yep, and we don't want to lock onto a ragdoll once it's finished. Or you might want to lock onto a destructible object. That's up to you. So we're going to go back to BPC lock on, change this trace channel to lockable. So anything that has the lockable trace channel, which we're going to go back to our enemy, BPC dummy, go to the mesh, and yeah, we can see that they now have this lockable channel. So now when we press 1, you can see we've got locked printing. In locked on component, now we need to unlock ourselves. So we're going to make a new custom event. So right click custom event. I'm going to call this disengage lock. And if we're already locked on and we press 1, I just want to call the disengage lock. And what that's going to do is we're going to get locked on and set that to false. We're going to get our hit actor here, and we're going to say locked on message, and that's going to be empty on the on because it's not locked on anymore. And then we're going to get our hit actor and set them to nothing. And then finally, we are going to set component tick enabled, and we're going to stop it being enabled. So we're going to stop the tick running. And I know we haven't started the tick running yet, but we will do that now. So we're going to make a new custom event. And we are going to tidy this up in a bit. Once everything's working, we'll start collapsing some of these to functions and putting input actions in. We're just going to test everything is working, and then we're going to make it tidier. We're going to start rotating to enemy. So once we're locked on, we're going to get our hit actor, and we're going to right click to make sure that that hit actor is valid. So to make sure we actually have one and we're not just starting it in error. If we don't have one, we're going to grab the disengage lock and put is not valid. If we do have one, we're going to get the hit actor and get the actor location. And then from actor location, we're going to find the look at rotation. The actor location for our hit actor needs to be the target, because we are get owner, and also get actor location. Get actor location. We are the start point. So from us, we're going to look at the rotation we have towards the actor rotation. And then this return value we need to split. And then from get owner, we're going to get the instigator. So get instigator. And then we're going to get control rotation. We're going to right click to open that up as well. I'm going to right click to make a rotator. And then we're going to put X roll and Y pitch and Z yaw from define lookat rotation into here. Then we're going to get player controller and then set control rotation. And we're going to put the return value in just here and then connect it as valid. And that should be ready to go. On the event tick here, we're going to call start rotating to enemy. And when we have our lock on target, after it's all binded, we're going to call set component tick enabled. So this will say, yep, start the tick, start running. This will run this and then start running this event every second. And see what that looks like. So we can test it, come out into the world, press 1 to lock onto our enemy. And now we can see the camera lets us move up and down, but it's rotating towards the enemy the entire time. And you can turn on strafe if you want to. So you can make sure that the character is locked. I'm not going to do that for mine, but here's how to do it. So have a custom event, just in case you want to use it. You want to do set strafe, and then we want to right click, get owner, then get component by class. And we want the movement component this time, the character movement component. And then we're going to set use controller desired rotation. And we also want set orient rotation to movement. And we can do a locked on here, so we can get locked on. And if it is locked on, then we want to use it. And if it's not, then we don't. So we want to do, if it's locked on, it ticks this. And if it's locked on, it unticks this. So then we can do set strafe after we lock on. So we can come up here, set strafe. And when you disengage as well, you also want to set strafe. So if I show you on both, set strafe, set strafe. Here I am strafing, press 1 again, I'm back to normal running round as well. So that would be how you set up the strafe, but you need the animations. I've got a tutorial on how to do that. When we're rotating to our enemy, we also want to check if they are far away. So we don't want our camera to be locked on forever. So we're going to make a branch here, and we're going to make a get owner. And then we're going to get distance 2. And we're going to check if this is more than, I'm going to do 200 so I can test it, but you can play with any figures that you want. And this needs to be not. So we need to be under 200 or we're going to disengage. And the other actor is going to be a hit actor. And then this false is going to be to disengage lock. So I come up here. You can see I'm locked on. And then I'll move away. And I've got camera back again. So lock on, no camera, move away, get my camera back. 200 is way too small. So like 500 to maybe 1200 would be good. And then we can grab all of these nodes, we can right click, collapse them to a macro, and this macro will be called the distance to target. That's a bit cleaner. we're going to want to make a widget. So we're going to come out into our content drawer, right click, user interface, go to widget blueprint, open that up, and we'll call this WBP, and we'll call this target lock. Open that up, and we just need an image. And in the details of that image, we go to brush, and we can see if we got a cross here, or a cross works. And then back in our enemy, BPC dummy, we're going to get that widget and add it to our character. So make sure it's under mesh, because we're going to manipulate that in a minute. And this we'll right click it, and we'll change that to be lock on widget. And then where we've got event locked on, we're going to get lock on widget, and we're going to set visibility. And then this on will go into new visibility, and set visibility will go into event locked on. We select lock on widget, we can scroll down until we get to this user interface section, and we want to change that to be screen. But first, let's go to the viewport and see where it is. So we can see that it's at the feet. I want this one to be parented, and this is why we needed it under the mesh, because we need to parent it. I want it to be parented to spine free. And I want it to be space screen, so that it only shows on my screen. And the widget class will be target lock, and the size will be about 32 by 32. And then importantly, we want the visibility to start as false. So type in visibility and untick it. Right, now when I hit my enemy, you can see he's got a red X on him. And again, if I run away, you can see it disappears because we're unlocking. So if I press it once and then press it again, it disappears. Now I want to scroll up when I hit the enemy. So we're going to right click and search for mouse wheel, and mouse wheel up. We're going to get the hit actor, and I'm going to get components by class. I want the skeletal mesh, and I want to make sure that that is valid, because in a minute we're going to set it up so that we can lock onto items as well. So if you had like a thing that you can shoot, or a barrel or whatever, then you can lock onto that. But I want to you're not going to be able to scroll up on that, so we need to make sure that the hit actor here is actually a valid skeleton, or we'll throw an error. Then we're going to get bone index, and we're going to check if it equals 48, because that's the spine. If you've got a custom skeleton, you'll need to experiment a little bit with this number. And we're going to promote this in socket name to a variable. And I'm going to make sure it defaults to spine 03. Spine 03. And then from here, I'm going to do a select int. And we're going to do 4 or 48. It's going to select between the head or the spine 03, where it was. From get component by class, we want to then get the bone name, and we want to get that from the bone index, and then bone name here we're going to set to that index. So what we're doing is we're getting the skeletal mesh, we're checking what bone name is selected, and by default it's spine 03. Then we're getting the index of the bone name that we've got selected, checking if it's equal to the index 48, which is what spine 03 is. If it is, then we're going to move it to the head, and if it's not, we're going to move it to the spine. So we're going to be able to scroll between two. Then we're getting that bone name, so it'll be spine 03 or head, and we're setting it to be back again, so the next time we do it, it's all set up. Then we need to open up our BPI locked on again, and we need to add a new function, and this will be bone index change, and this will take an index. We'll call this bone index. compile and save it. Back in our dummy, we should now have bone index change. And all we do, super simple, we're going to get this mesh. We're going to get bone name. Put bone index into here. And then we're going to attach component to component. Attach component to component. And the mesh is going to be the parent, and the widget, the lock-on widget, is going to be our target. And then we're going to snap to target on all of these. Back in lock-on, need to make sure that we're calling that event. So we're going to get hit actor and set bone. What do we call it? Bone index change message. And then we're just going to get the return value here of the selecting and put it into bone index. So now we should be able to scroll our mouse wheel up. There we go. And it goes from the head to the body each time. And we could also do VPC lock on. We could do mouse wheel down, but because we're going to do an input action, then we're going to cover mouse wheel up and mouse wheel down on the same action. We just, again, we want to make sure everything's set up first, and then we'll change it around. So next, we are going to want to check if we're going to want to move between two enemies based on the distance to us. So we're going to right click and get a number 2 event. And then we're going to get a locked on branch. So locked on and branch. And then we're going to get target actor, so hit actor. And we're going to get its location. And then we're going to do a multi-spear trace this time. Multi-spear trace for by channel. And we can promote this radius to a variable. So this will be radius around enemy. And by default, we set this to 1000. And then we get actor location, plug it into end as well. So from true, we go into there, and then we can draw a debug type for duration. And we want to make an array of these actors to ignore. So make array. And we want 2 in there. We want the owner, because we can't lock onto ourselves. So get owner of actor component, and then we want the hit actor so that it doesn't try and lock itself again. From return value, we want to check if we hit something, so we want to get a branch. And then from out hits, we're going to get a for each loop. And go from true to our for each loop. And this for each loop is going to check each actor that's hit and present us with some results. So we're going to get array elements and break it. And then we're going to get the hit actors, and we're going to check if they're valid. So it is valid. And then we're going to add unique. And we want to get the hit actors and put them into the bottom pin. And in the top one, we're just going to drag it out and create an array. And this will be our actors in range. So this will be all of the actors that are in range of our trace. And once we've found all of those, then we're going to get a sequence from completed. We're going to get the hit actor that we already have. And we're going to do locked on then. So this will then take off our lock on target. And then we're going to get hit actor from then 1 and set it. And we're going to set it to, so we're going to get owner, get our location, so get actor location. and we want to find nearest actor. And this will do what it says on the tin. It will find the nearest actor of the range of actors that we have here. And this will find the nearest actor to us. Then we want to check it is valid, just to make sure. And then we're going to set that we're locked on. We're going to get the new target actor or hit actor and call the message locked on and tick it to make sure that that is true as well. So then just come back to trace channel here and make sure we've changed this to lockable and press play. Press 1 here. Now when we press 2, it goes across. But if we press 2 again, it won't go back multiple times. And that's because right at the start here, we're not clearing this actors in range. So we get actors in range and then clear it. And that removes everyone ready to go around again. So press 1, it attaches here. Press 2, we shoot between the two. Scroll up, we go to the head. If there's no one around to lock onto, we want to take care of that as well. So if we get from this false here and get another branch, and if we're already locked on, so if we don't hit anyone and we're already locked on, then we're just going to come up and get disengage lock. Like that. Open up our content drawer. We can right click, create a blueprint class of an actor. Call this BP test. We're going to open that up and add a cube to it. And in that cube, we could add a widget. And that widget will be our widget class of target lock. Again, make it 32 by 32. And it on the screen, but it won't have a parent socket. Settings. Add in our implemented interface of locked on. And then in our locked on, we can get widget and we can do set visibility and put them across like that. And then in widget, we just need to remember to turn the visibility off by default. So we're going to add that to the world and then we can play. So now when I hit that, there we go. I run away and it's fine. It allows me to move between them, but if I try and scroll my mouse up, there's nothing to scroll to. And if I do number 3 on the keypad, so we get number 3, we can get the hit actor and destroy it. So then press 1, and if press 3, you can see that we're no longer locked on. We've got smooth camera move again. So then up at the top, when we call actor destroyed, then we just need to also call disengage lock just in case, so that we don't get any more errors. Locked on is changed. All of these are changed. We can do this as a is valid, so we can right click this, convert to validated get, and that'll stop any errors. And put is not valid over here. So now when we select someone and press 3 to destroy them, and then come out of it, we don't get any errors. It's perfect. So into input actions, we can do a new IA event. So right click input, and we can do input action. So we can do IA lock. We can control D to duplicate that. IA change lock position. And then finally, IA change target. We'll come out and go to IMC, and we can add 3 new IMCs. So the first one will be change lock position, the second one will be change target, and the third one will be lock. So for change lock position, we're going to want the mouse wheel axis, and we'll add a new one. See if I can do mouse wheel down. No. So we've got mouse wheel axis. That should take care of both of them. We can test that in a sec. For change target, we want the key number 2, and for IA lock, we want key number 1. So back in lock on, we can do IA lock. And get it from triggered. And where we've got our mouse wheel up, we can do IA change lock position. IA change lock position. And that will be triggered as well. And then finally, 2, we can do IA change target. And that'll be triggered as well. And then we can get rid of those keyboard events. So we come out here, press 1, we've got a lock, press 2. Changes between them, we actually want that on started. So that should just be on started. So tap 1, there we go. Tap 2, it swaps. So that works. And then we can leave the 3 in here as the destroy. That's not a big deal. And then we want to start compacting some of these into functions to make it a bit tidier. So this whole disengage lock, we can select it all, right click it, collapse it to a function. And then if we delete the function, and then we can delete the 1 off the end here. So we compile, then delete the 1 off the end, then compile it again. And that's fine. And then we can get this whole lock onto target here. Right click, collapse to a function. Compile it. Go to lock onto target. Compile it again. On target, event destroyed can be the same. That's not a big deal. Start rotating to enemy. We can grab that and again, right click it, collapse it to a function. And just take the 1 off the end when we rename it and then compile again. And then you can have set strafe. If you set it up, you can also collapse that to a function. And all of this that's not the IA event, we can collapse to a function as well. And this will be our change target code. And we compile all that and everything should still work. We could collapse all of this to a function too to tidy it up. But for the most part, that's all done for you. Thank you very much and have a nice day.